straight. Close your eyes. Sit at the edge of your block or blanket. Allow your knees to relax towards the floor. Press your sit bones down into the block. Lengthen your spine. Spread your shoulders wide. Place your hands on your knees, palms facing up. Keep the chin parallel to the floor. Soften your face. Relax your belly. And for a few moments, just watch your breath. Don't try to breathe in any specific way, just watch the breath come in and out. As you watch your breath, feel it deepen. It'll deepen on its own. Now let's measure how deep our breath is. We'll inhale for a count of 10. I'll keep count for you. So finish your exhalation, get ready, and let's inhale. Hold your breath. Hold your breath not as if you're holding oxygen, but as joy, as vitality in your body. When you do that, you will feel your body filled with great strength. Exhale. Same 10 counts, we are doing 10 counts each. Once again, inhale. Hold your breath. Breathing is more than just oxygen and carbon dioxide. It often brings with it a mental component. So feel the joy. Exhale now. Release away any negativity, tensions, sleepiness. Allow it all to leave your body and mind. Last time, let's do a 14 count breath, much deeper. Breathe in. Hold your breath without any effort. Breathe out. Breathe out as smoothly as you inhaled. Pause for half a minute or so, feeling the change in your body and also in your mind by simply deepening the breath. This is called pranayama, working with the inner energy. We'll do a little bit more of it. It's always good to do it at the beginning of your class and also at the end. We'll do a similar deep breath, except we breathe in through the right nostril and breathe out through the left. Alternating this way has a profound effect on the mind. We need to arrange the right hand in a special way. It's called a mudra. Bring your right hand forward, fold the first two fingers into the palm. Now we'll use the thumb to close the right nostril when the time comes, and the last two fingers to close the left nostril. So let's begin by closing the left nostril. We'll inhale right for 6 counts. Short, deep breath. Hold your breath for 12 counts. Exhale left for 12 counts. This begins to generate heat in the body, a subtle form of heat that is more detoxifying than it is actually hot. That should be 12. Switch back to the right, inhale for 6. Hold your breath. Those of you that know chin lock can do it now only for the duration of the breath hold. Left, 12 counts. Right for 6. Hold your breath. Firmly close the nostrils and close your throat so no breath escapes. Left for 12. Smooth, controlled. Pranayama, control of energy, begins with controlling the breath. Work your muscles just perfectly so the breath comes out in a smooth stream. Release your hands on your knees. Feel the change once again. These simple practices can have a deep and profound change. Every yoga action we do, we have to do its opposite to balance the duality. So if we did the heating breath, we now do the cooling breath. Spread your lips widely. Don't use your hands, just like a weird smile. This, and place your tongue behind your top teeth, that way. That creates a restricted opening which cools the throat. So breathe into your throat. Same 6 counts. Close your lips, hold your breath. Focus deeply so you feel those cooling vapors rising up into the brain. With your lips closed, allow the breaths to softly escape through the nose, but feel as if it's spreading through your entire body, that coolness that you felt. Sitakari pranayama, coolness producing breath. One more time, lips open, breathe in. Hold your breath. Breathe out. Work with the coolness that's very natural to this breathing practice. One more time, breathe in. Hold your breath. Breathe out. Pause briefly. Noticing the new lightness in the body and perhaps a little more calmness in the mind. And when you feel ready, slowly open your eyes. Hey, good morning once again, everybody. Welcome. We'll do this class today. So one of the many things yoga can do is actually make your immune system more effective. You can't really do your yoga to guard against any specific disease. That's at least not as far as I know. But what you can do is strengthen your immune system in such a way that it will make you more resistant to any disease. And it's partly because, first and foremost, yoga brings down the amount of inflammation in the body. That's when your immune system is in overdrive. It's always threatened by something or the other, and that causes all kinds of issues. So by bringing it down, you will know what to be threatened by and what not to be. You meaning your body will know that. So that inflammation comes down. The second thing, yoga, when we do it in a moderate intensity, like we'll be doing today, it's called beneficial stress. A little bit of moderate intensity every day, creating this sense of, oh, I need to go beyond my comfort zone, apparently is very good for your immune system. We don't know why, but it works that way, and this has been proven study after study. And the third one is yoga deepens your breath. Even if you don't want to, at the end of a yoga class, you'll breathe more deeply. You can just notice it today. And that actually is very beneficial for your lungs and in your immune system in the following way. It does something which we don't like to talk about often. It helps the mucosal layers in your nose and in the back of the throat function better, and that traps all kinds of foreign bodies. And finally, yoga reduces your chronic stress, which actually improves your immune system. And there is much more, but just know that these simple practices that we do, when you go out there after the class, you will probably be better able to resist whatever bugs and viruses that come your way. Okay? So that's what we'll do. And the practices are fairly simple, but I'll point out a few things when special things are happening along the way. So we begin with warm-ups. There is nothing special about warm-ups. They are just warm-ups. So let's come on our hands and knees. In yoga, you always warm up the spine because all of yoga is about the spine. So on your hands and knees, take a deep inhaling breath. And as you exhale, begin to curl your tailbone so that you feel a little bit of a stretch in your low back. Push into your hands, stretch the back of your heart, relax your head, and immediately inhale. It's a flow. Lift your sit bones. You will feel an arch in your low back. Pull on your hands so your heart opens, and lift your head and go back immediately with the exhalation to the base of the spine, rounding the back, and the inhalation arching the back. Do this at your own pace smoothly. There may be 30 or 40 odd muscles on each side of the spine which work to produce these movements. So if it's 40 on each side, there is 80 individual movements that comprise what you are doing. See if you can feel all of them. Can your awareness be that deep? Okay, and slowly stop. Walk your hands a little bit forward so your arms are sloping in front of you and you are looking down at your thumbnail. Spread your feet a little wider. Tuck your toes under. Lift your knee off the floor. Keep your knees bent. You're not going to do full downward dog yet. Press into your hands. Lift your sit bones. Relax your head and bend the right knee even more. Straighten the left knee completely. Feel a good stretch in your left hamstring or perhaps your left calf. Press into the hands, lift the sit bones even more, and change sides. Bend the left knee, fully straighten the right. You will find one side to be harder than the other. Change sides. We'll do a little more rapidly now because we are warming up. Change sides. Keep your breath flowing. This is almost a yoga pose. So almost all the benefits I mentioned before are beginning to happen. But breathe deeply. Keep changing sides. And finally, let's straighten both knees. Hang out in this pose just briefly. We'll do this fully later. And slowly walk your feet forward. Come to a standing pose. Very good. Step in front of your mat. Take the left leg back. Those of you here online, I mean in front of me, I'm always mirroring you. So I take my right leg back, but that's left for you. Lift your right arm up. Energize the left buttock. So your hips come forward. then you can lift your heart. Now, although it's tempting to lift it like this, try and lift your arm like this. Lift a little more. Hopefully you inhaled when you did that whole thing, and exhale, come back. If you are confused about this and this, it's okay. It's just a warm up, not a big deal. Inhale. The right buttock is working, and lift. Really feel that stretch. Take a breath here. It's harder to take a breath, which is kind of the point. And exhale. Very good. Hands in front of your heart. Clasp your hands together. Gentle smile or a big smile, whichever way. Breathe in. And breathe out. Press your feet into the floor and really stretch the back of the heart. Breathe in smoothly. Feel this part lengthen. If you straighten the elbow, then your rib cage will lengthen. That's the key. Drop the shoulders. Exhale and straighten your elbows. Open your heart. This is enough, but if you are able, you can also lift your arms back. It's not necessary. And back, exhalation, inhale. Let's try that a little faster. Exhale, breathe in, breathe out, breathing in. Oh, that feels good. Breathe out. In one last time. In and back to center. Close your eyes. Now, Tadasana, our first yoga pose. Look down. Your feet are fist width apart. Everything about this pose is meant for one thing only, to make the spine straight. From your buttocks all the way to the top of the head. That part is in a straightish line. It actually curves, but alignment. So we start by pressing into the feet. Gently press into the feet, somewhat relax the buttocks. That combination will actually help you straighten the base of the spine. Inhale. As you exhale, you'll feel your lower belly working. Use that subtle movement to bring the hip forward. Good. Now, inhale again, lift the heart, and simply relax the arms. Gaze a little up as if you are looking at a distant hill. Take a few deep breaths. Now, right here, almost all the benefits I told you are beginning to happen, believe it or not. But what you need to do is get in touch with your body. Don't kind of think about other things. Feel how hard your feet are pressing into the floor, how lifted your heart is, and relaxed the shoulders are. The more you do that, the more it becomes yoga. Breathe in and out. Take your mind to the state implied by this pose. Say to yourself, I stand ready to obey thy least command. These affirmations help deepen the pose. And lower your gaze until you're looking straight forward. Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. Now, the whole point of this pose is the right front part of your body stretches fully. So, if you think of a line from here all the way up through the arms, that should stretch very deeply. Okay. So think about that as we do the pose. Your feet are about 3.5, 4 feet apart. Turn your left foot out 90 degrees. Lift your right heel. Pivot entirely to the left. Now you are stretching the front thigh of the right side. So really strengthen the right buttock. Bend your left knee deeply. Be careful, don't bend it beyond the ankle. Inhale the arms up. Exhale the shoulders down. Now lift the heart. So you're going into a gentle back bend. Once again, the elbows are important. Can you straighten the elbows without lifting the shoulders? Very good. Feel that move, and then when you work the right buttock, then you'll be able to go deeper into the pose. Now breathe deeply. I attune my will to the source of all power. take the pose deeper by bending the left knee carefully, straightening the right leg a little bit more, straightening the elbows and lifting the heart. Attempt to breathe deeply. We are almost done. Press into your left heel, inhale to straighten, pivot forward, float your arms down as you exhale. Pause here, just stay here. Now work your feet a little closer so that you're back to being 3.5 to 4 feet wide. Right foot out, left heel up, pivot to the right. Work your left leg, don't be in a hurry, don't be impatient. Work the left leg, make it stronger, stronger, then bend the right knee. Inhale the arms, relax the shoulders, straighten the elbows as much as you can, lift the heart. Be careful of your knee, but really the heart of the pose is only two things: working the left leg from the buttocks all the way to the heel and trying to straighten the elbow without lifting the shoulder. And breathe deeply. You'll find it useful if your fingers are relaxed instead of rigidly straight. Then you can affirm, I attune my will to the source of all power. Press into the right heel, inhale to come up, exhale the arms down, step back into Tadasana. Tadasana is the first pose we did, the pose of alignment. Close your eyes. You could jump into the next pose at this point. That's a fine way of doing it, but remember what I said about beneficial stress. It has to be kept at a certain level. So we come back every now and then to not get lost in the body. Feel yoga more with the mind. These are called neutral poses. Now hopefully all of you have a block. If not, please get one. They are right there. Some of you advanced yogis may not need this, but have one anyway. This is Trikonasana, triangle pose. Same stance as before. We'll turn the left foot out, then we'll turn the right heel out. Just left foot out is fully 90 degrees, right heel out is just a little bit, about 30 degrees. Now we focused on the buttock in the previous pose. In this pose, we focus on the inside leg. See if you can strengthen it, as if you're squeezing a block way up in your groin. That kind of feeling. Do that more. You see how the spine straightens? That's all we want to maintain. You don't want to be turned this way. You're still facing forward. The left hand at the hip, right hand at the waist. Push the hip down with the left hand and tip to the left. Press with this leg. Remember that inner thigh. Press with that foot. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Inhale, left arm out. Lengthen, lengthen, exhale. Don't reach for the floor at all. Simply let the arm come down. Wherever it comes down is fine. Adjust the block so you can press on it. Turn your chest to face forward. Lift your right arm up. Very good. Very good. Now just stay there. Can you breathe deeply while working the inner thigh? That's the challenge of the pose. And your arm is facing front, your lifted hand, palm is facing front, so you're about to push on somebody. Okay? Very good. Energy and joy flood my body cells. Joy descends to me. Inner thighs, deep breath. Deepen the pose by lengthening the crown of the head. Really deeply lengthen. Very good. You guys are really doing well today. Now keep those inner thighs working. Press into the outside of the right foot. Inhale to float your body up. Float it up and point the toes forward. Step back. When we do these poses, what I'm about to say next might sound like a joke, but I'm actually very serious. When we do these poses for a long time and time comes to release it, don't really enjoy the fact that you're no longer doing the pose, okay? Because that kind of puts an odd mindset. Really gracefully flow as if it's all part of what you ought to be doing. So bring your feet a little closer. Let's do this the other side. Right foot out, left heel out. Inner thighs, really work the inner thighs. How do you work the inner thighs? If you think of squeezing your sacrum on both sides using your buttocks, that works the inner thighs. Do you feel it? Okay, hip, waist, tip the pelvis, lengthen through the arms. Once again, don't reach for the floor in the next action. As you exhale, simply bring it down, just lengthening. And the other arm up. Twist slightly so that the chest faces forward. Your hand on the block. Energy and joy flood my body cells. Joy descends to me. The more you can localize tension in the body to the thighs and keep the arms, the fingers, the fingernails, face, everything free of tension, the more you're doing triangle pose. Don't let the tension bubble up through the arms. Good. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Work the inner thighs. Energy and joy flood my body cells. Joy descends to me. Now, those of you whose hands are on the block, can you do the pose in such a way that there is no weight on your hand whatsoever? Everything is being held up by your core. Very good. Inhale to come up gracefully. Remember what I said about not being too grateful about finishing with the pose. And slowly step back into Tadasana. One of the things that helps the immune system is the breath. Notice how the breath has deepened. Okay, let's try a bit of a harder pose. Harder in the sense it requires more flexibility, but there is a modification for everybody. This is called Parshvottanasana, pyramid pose. We don't spread the feet too much this time, just about 3 feet or perhaps even a little less is enough. Use how much I have spread my feet as a guide. So this is triangle pose, this is pyramid pose. So you really want to be more upright. Left foot out fully. Now this time we'll turn the right foot in without lifting the heel as fully as possible. This is a little bit tricky. You might feel some loss of balance, in which case keep it turned out. Inner thighs, work the inner thighs. You can actually imagine squeezing them together at this point. Place your hands at your waist, because that's where, or at your hip, because that's where you're going to bend forward. It's called a hip fold. Both knees are very straight, back buttock is working. Inhale. As you exhale, fold forward. Your spine is very straight. Oh, immediately that left hamstring is complaining. That's okay, just work with it. Work the inner thighs, squeeze that imaginary block between the thighs, and keep lowering yourself little by little. This is a forward bend, so people with back issues, once you've come as much as you can with a straight spine, place your hands on the front knee, which is the left, and just stay there. This is your pose. For if your back is okay, then you can do one of two things with your hands. If you have familiarity with the pose, come into a reverse namaste, relax your spine and chin towards the shin. If that's a little hard, then perfectly valid way of doing it is to place your hands on the floor or on or lower down on the left leg and just stay there, breathing deeply, but allow your head to come towards the front knee. So, you really want that subtle rounding in the top of the spine. Keep squeezing that block. In most of these yoga poses, you got to work the legs. Slowly the pose will deepen. Don't worry. Give it time. Your right hip is facing the floor. It's not lifting up. Don't struggle in the pose. Find a variation that works, because we have to come out very gracefully out of this pose. I'll tell you how in a moment. We're almost done. To prepare to come out, press the back heel into the floor very deeply. Lift your head, lift your heart, and then release your hands from wherever they were. Inhale to come all the way up. Very good. Point your toes forward and you're in this slightly wide stance. This pose is a bit of a silver bullet. There are many, many things that it takes care of, whether there are shoulder issues, knee issues, back issues, stressed out, all kinds of things. It's hard to beat this pose for its versatility. Downward dog is another one, just like this. Right foot out, left heel all the way out. Squeeze that imaginary block, hands at the hips. Inhale to lift your heart. As you exhale, begin to fold. Once again, people with back issues, just place your hands on your thigh. Don't place them on the knee, just on the thigh. If your back is okay, reverse namaste, or just hands on the floor or lower down on the shin. Any modification. Allow the pose to come to you. Say to yourself, I offer myself fully to the flow of grace. Now that you have some proficiency in the pose, let me give you a little deepening hint here. Feel your waist, the back part of your waist, and make that longer, as if your belly button is sliding down the thigh, and then bring the forehead closer to the shin. That combination is what makes the pose. When you do your reverse namaste, your fingers are pointing up towards the head, not down towards your butt. So it's the harder way, the one that makes it much harder. Yes, there you go. I offer myself fully into the flow of grace. Graceful exit, press into the back heel strongly. Lift your head, lift your heart, and as you inhale, come up with a straight spine, pivot forward, arms down, step back into Tadasana. Close your eyes. You'd be feeling that sense of detoxification, meaning lightness in the body. That's what is bringing the inflammation down. Not right this moment, but over time, that's how yoga works. So look for that feeling of lightness if you want to work with your immune system. Now we switch gears and stop trying so hard. So we balance a sense of surrender into the pose, and we do that with forward bends. Let's try our first real forward bend. This was one, but it was much harder. Padahastasana. If you have tight hamstrings, spread your feet a little wider. If your hamstrings are okay, keep them close. Hands at the hips. Inhale. Lift your heart. Make the legs strong. So this front of the thighs are very strong in this pose. Not inner thighs, not the buttocks, front of the thighs. Inhale. As you exhale, fold forward. Come about halfway. Place your hands on your thighs. Feel the quadriceps working underneath your hands. Make them work. Don't hyperextend the knee. Keep it just a little teeny tiny softness in the knee. Fold a little bit more. And in your mind, say to yourself that you can fold as much as you can, as much as you want to. There's really no limitation. We all know that that's a lie, but just really keep saying that in your mind. Nothing on earth can hold me. When you have that kind of feeling, your body responds. You can fold a little bit more. And once you've folded enough that your spine can no longer be straight, those with back issues remain in that pose. If you don't have back issues, continue allowing that spine to relax and round little by little. Hand on the floor or on the toe is not a destination. Just relax your arms. Wherever it comes is fine. If your hands are indeed on the floor, then take them back towards your heels. If they are not on the floor, don't worry. They'll get there. It doesn't matter whether they do or not. Now lift your bum up. Don't change anything, but really lift your butt high up in the air. Keep weight on your heels. That is what will stretch the hamstrings. Lengthen the rib cage, create space between each rib. Most importantly, work with a sense that there is no limitation whatsoever. Body is fully surrendered to the mind. Nothing on earth can hold me. We'll hang out here for another 30 seconds because magic is happening. Now, as you stay here, when we come to the final stages of the pose, truly imagine that you're like a child and completely do whatever you want with your body. Just have that sense and you will see that you can stretch deeper. Just have that thought and you will stretch deeper. So now we need to come out very carefully. Place your hands on your knees, bend your knees, lift your head, lift your heart so your spine is straight. On a big inhalation, come up with a straight spine, spreading your wings, your arms to the side, lift them up. Exhale, press into your feet. If your feet were wider, bring them back closer. Tadasana. Close your eyes. Nothing on earth can hold me. If you're new to Ananda Yoga, you'll probably realize that how we do it and how you feel is probably slightly different. Because the main objective here is to calm the mind as we go along, even though we are working hard. Let's transition to a seated position. If you're able, sit on your heels. This is not always easy, and if that's hard, then sit on a block. If you have knee issues, then just sit cross-legged. Let's stay here for a few moments. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. Breathe in and out deeply. Your heart is always lifted. Now come up on your knees, Ustrasana, camel pose. See, because the knees are bent, your feet can no longer energize your legs. So what we learn in this pose is to energize the legs without the use of the feet. Where does that come from? It comes from the buttocks. So energize your buttocks so much that your pelvis comes forward, like that. Place your hands around the part that you are energizing, which is the curve of your buttocks. Hands are close to each other, so shoulders can stretch. Press into the pinky fingers, so shoulders can stretch even more. Then all you do is lift your heart up and back. Do that on an inhalation. Keep your chin slightly tucked so your neck doesn't feel the strain, but all the while your pelvis is going forward and your heart is lifting back little by little. Now, if you carefully release your left hand, it might be very close or touch the heel. If it is, then touch the heel. If it isn't, don't worry, bring it back on the buttocks. Either way, then in either case, lift your heart some more. If your hand is touching the heel and your neck is okay, then relax the head back to rest between the shoulder blade. If you have neck issues or it feels weird, come back to keep the chin tucked, and let's just stay there. Keep lifting the heart, working the buttocks. With calm faith, I open to thy light. Very good. Keep the buttocks working even more. Inhale to lift the heart up slowly. Exhale to relax the arms by the side. Pause there. Whenever we do these back bends, we rest for a little bit to allow the energy, the kundalini, to settle back. Slowly, let's transition to lie on our bellies, forehead on the floor, bend both knees. This is Dhanurasana, bow pose. It's a little bit advanced, but not as much as you might think. Reach back and hold your ankles. If you have knee issues, then be very careful with this pose. If you feel a twinge in your knee, then avoid doing this, just rest. Once you are holding your ankles, if you are unable to hold your ankles, then you can use a strap as arm extenders. Just wrap it around the ankle and hold the strap instead. Now, hand, ankle or strap doesn't matter. Push your ankles against your hands. You'll begin to feel the knees lifting a little bit. Pause there. Now try to just lift the knee a little bit. It's a weird kind of strength you need to do that, but just access that core, lift the knee, then push the ankle to lift it further. Allow the heart to come up so that you are resting on your belly. Let your big toes go up in the air as if they are reaching the ceiling. Very good. Breathe deeply. I recall my scattered forces to recharge my spine. If you're simply unable to reach your ankle, you can just keep your knees bent and lift the thighs off instead. It's a significantly more challenging pose that way. Almost done. Take one more deep breath. And as you exhale, slowly release. Place your forehead on the floor or on your hands. Release your ankles too. Just let the legs come down. Now please notice how deep your breath has gotten. This is immune system. This is reduction of cortisol, stress relief. All those things are happening. Enjoy that deep breath. I recall my scattered forces to recharge my spine. Transition your awareness to your subtle body. Feel that pillar of light in your spine glowing with your breath. Part of this particular immune sequence is to alternate between stretching the heart and working the core. They are in the prana system, they are called samana, the digestive fire, and prana, the power of the heart. So we work with them alternatively. We worked with the heart, now let's work with the digestive fire. So what we are going to do is place your forehead on the floor, hands next to your heart, elbows into the body, elbows away from the ears, tuck your toes under, press into the hands and into your toes and see if you can lift the rest of the body off the floor. If it's unclear what I'm saying, look at what I'm doing. Just lift the rest of the body, hover there, and exhale and come up into full plank. If that's not possible, do your best. Place your knee on the floor. Now when you do the plank, your head, your eye must be aligned with your forefingers, not with your wrist. There you go. Sorry, I know that makes it harder, but that's the whole point. Tuck your tailbone. Exhale a little longer than you will inhale, so that you can really feel that digestive fire. fire in the belly, enthusiasm. We'll hold this for another 20 seconds. And let's continue working the digestive fire. Just gently turn your head and watch me. This is all what we'll all attempt to do. So on an exhalation, we'll slowly bend the elbows, bend the knees, and then lay the body on the floor, as controlled as you can. Pause there. Rest. There's no affirmation for plank. Swamiji didn't give us one. So affirm whatever feels right for you. Now slide your hands down so that they come next to your chest. Tuck your elbows into the body. We won't do plank again, but we'll stretch, or we might, but for at least now we'll stretch the chest area with Bhujangasana, cobra pose. The challenge is to lift the spine without using your hands. Can everybody try that? Just don't use your hands, lift your hands off the floor and see how much you can lift the spine. Okay? Okay, come back down. Now let's do that in a more scientific way. Energize your buttocks, your thighs, your calves, shins. The whole leg is energized. Press your pubic bone down into the floor. Just place your hands on the floor without using them and smile, really smile. That will help you lift. A happy smile, don't fake it. And then on an inhaling breath, without using your hands, just smoothly come up. Just come up. I joyfully rise to meet each new opportunity. Place the hands on the floor. You just don't use it, but let it be on the floor. With every breath, lift a little higher. You'll come down with every exhalation, that's fine, but keep lifting. You'll find this odd connection. The more you work the buttocks and legs, the more you can lift the spine. Now stay there. You are all doing wonderfully. Gently push into the hands, gently, and lift a little bit more, quite a bit more. Good. Your belly button's on the floor because we want that kundalini digestive fire. Breathe into that belly button. If your neck is perfectly healthy, then take your head back slightly so you feel that additional stretch in the chest. The most wonderful of all poses. And slowly draw your forehead forward and lay it on the floor. Once again, feel your breath. Remember, we are working with the immune system. We want harmony, because that's when the immune system knows when something is disharmonious. Breathe in and out. You can rest your head on your palms and look to one side if that works better for your breath. Okay, now let's slowly press into the hands, come up on our hands and knees, turn to face forward. Another area that we need to work on, if you remember, we worked on the base of the spine, then we worked on the stomach and the chest. The other area we need to work on is the throat. This is kind of the choreographer for our immune system function. So the next three poses we'll involve the throat. Sit at the edge of your block. Almost everybody will need at least no more than one block. It's very rare for this pose to need more than one block. It's not a hamstring stretch. So cross your left ankle over the right. A kind of a shallow cross. You're not coming into a cross-legged pose like this. Hold your right ankle with your left hand and pull it in. So, the idea is this femur bone is completely perpendicular to the body. Now, clasp your hands beneath your left shin, draw the elbows together, press the sit bones down, lift the heart as you pull that leg in. You feel that length in the spine. This is how the rest of the pose should look like. Don't be grumpy. We are doing very funny, not funny, joyful things at this point. So, you will feel great once you let your spine lengthen in the pose. Now, see if you can bring this foot on the other side. There is no need to draw it fully deep, just like this, without lifting the bum. So, if the bum lifts like this, then don't do it. Place it right here because it's very bad for your back. If you can do it, go ahead. Lift your left hand, inhale. As you exhale, take the left arm back and to the right, finish the exhalation. Inhale. As you exhale, walk your belly button across to the left. You are using your core. So, you are using stomach muscles. Move that belly button across. Left hand moves further to the right. Then inhale. Bring your belly towards that thigh. Wrap your elbow around that thigh, open entirely to the left. Now, look over the left shoulder. Let's practice that spinal lengthening I was talking about in the beginning. Inhale to lengthen the spine, meaning your heart lifts. Exhale to deepen the twist. Some of you, your left hand may be all across the waist at this point, in which case you don't need to support yourself on that hand anymore. You can just place it on the waist. And every time you twist, you can feel how much those fingers move across the waist to the right. That's your measure of the twist. Feel the crown of your head getting closer and closer to the ceiling. There you go. Well done. I radiate love and goodwill to soul friends everywhere. Breathe into that little squeeze that's happening in the belly. That works with the immune system, believe it or not. All kinds of lymph nodes are there along that path. If you really imagine a big light at the very center of your chest radiating out, it will help you twist quite a bit more. Very good. Now inhale, and as you exhale, untwist the body. Bring the chin over the chest first, chest over the belly button over to face front, and let's hug the knees into the chest. These are very deep poses. Don't confuse their physicality with their depth. And as you exhale, cross your legs the other way and come into position. This pose is called Ardha Matsyendrasana, half spinal twist. It was named after the founder of yoga, Hatha Yoga. You could think that he would have chosen any name because it was what he invented, but this is what he chose to canonize himself. So imagine how important the pose should be. Right hand up to the left, inhale, begin twisting the lower spine, belly button across the thigh, middle spine, opening to the right, then upper spine looking over the right shoulder. Inhale and lengthen, exhale, twist, as if you are asking people behind you to come join you. This feels so good. I wish you could experience this, that kind of feeling. Radiate love and goodwill to soul friends everywhere. If you want another measure of how much you are twisting, think about your left shoulder coming forward and the right shoulder going back. It's as if the right shoulder is running away and the left shoulder is trying to catch up. Breathe. If you take even a small deep breath here, it's enormously beneficial. Now breathe in. As you breathe out, slowly untwist yourself. Hug your knees into your chest. I radiate love and goodwill to soul friends everywhere. And slowly release. Now we'll do a pose that appears weird, and in fact it will look weird if anybody took a photo of you, which we won't. This is called Simhasana, lion pose. So keep that thing in mind. Recall what you know about a lion. What does a lion mostly do? It's about to jump and eat something, right? So you're in a crouching position. Okay, it's a crouching lion. How does that look? I don't know how a lion does it. I'll tell you how we'll do it. Tuck your toes under. Then bring your hips, buttocks almost all the way to the heels, but not quite touching. Okay, that's kind of a crouching. Don't rest. Don't rest on your heels. So you're lifting up and then come forward. You can't crouch like this. You have to be ready to jump and eat something. Place your hands in the middle of your thighs. Spread your fingers. Press into the hands. Open your heart. This is not the weird part. Now comes the weird part. What we do is we stick our tongue out and make very big eyes. Look down into the throat. Okay? Let's do that. And we do the whole thing. We inhale, hold the breath, and stick the tongue out. Let's try that. Keep your tongue out. You can exhale anytime you want to, but hold the pose and then do the same thing again. But when you do that, you will feel this great silence within. Don't draw the tongue back in. You can hold the breath. When you need to breathe in, but the tongue stays out. Make the eyes wider. Say to yourselves, I purify my thoughts, my speech, my every action. Crouch, you're ready to leap, eyes are wider, tongue is sticking out more. Then on the next inhalation, withdraw the tongue. Slowly sit on your heels. Notice how profound the silence is. Don't have any unwanted movement to disturb the silence. Stay in the throat. I purify my thoughts, my speech, my every action. Very slowly open your eyes. At this point, there are only two more things that are left to be done. One is to invert the body. There are many inversions that you can do. Those of you that know headstand, shoulder stand, or simple inverted, you can feel free to do them now. I won't guide you in those. You can do that to your own pace, even those of you online or anybody that watches the recording. But what I'll guide you in is a simple but a marvelous inversion, because the head is below the heart. It's called Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. It brings together almost everything we learned today. Come on your hands and knees. Let your feet be about hip width apart. It's about at least 6 inches. And walk your hands forward so that the arms are sloping down in front of you. That slope is very important. Spread your fingers just like you did for Simhasana. Feel that activation in the throat. Press down with the base of each finger. Now, inhaling, lift your knees off the floor. Press into the arms. Lift your sit bones up with knees bent and allow the head to come in between the arms. Now, gradually, without rounding the spine, see if you can straighten the knees. At some point, the spine will begin to round. You can stop there with knees slightly bent. That's perfectly fine. Some of you are able to straighten the knee, in which case fully straighten the knee, and some of you are perhaps able to keep the heels on the floor, in which case go ahead and do so. But no matter which position you end up in, the bhav of the pose, what it should feel like in your head is that the heels are reaching towards the floor. So you're grounding on your palms and on your legs. Say to yourself, calmness radiates from every fiber of my being. The most important aspect of this pose is a very deep breath. In fact, all the inversions, some of you are doing headstand, some of you shoulder stand, simple inverted, downward dog, all of them, very, very deep breath. And we always hold them for a little longer, half a minute to a minute. Now very slowly bring your knees down to the floor and gradually sit in a cross-legged pose. Same with whatever other inversion you're doing. If you've done the headstand or the shoulder stand, stay there for half a minute more to allow the energy to calm down. Parts of the immune system has what's known as an epigenetic component, meaning not exactly in the genes, but that part of the DNA that controls gene expression. And yoga has been shown to work with those epigenetic components. It's still an area of active research, and these inversions seem to help. Now let's sit cross-legged. You can sit in Siddhasana, where your heel is at your groin and your other the other heel is stacked on top of the first one, or one ankle is in front of the other, or a simple cross-legged pose, any of those. Pause here, close your eyes, bring your thumb and forefinger together, lengthen the other fingers, and feel your heart, your uplifted gaze. Feel your heart. This is a mudra that brings your energy into the heart. Very naturally feel your heart. Let's be still for a few minutes. After a while, you can let go of the thumb and forefinger and just arrange your fingers in whatever way feels right. Continue to feel the heart. We'll be still for another few minutes. Although it's very tempting to take this right into meditation, it is important to do Shavasana at the end of every yoga class. So keeping your consciousness inward and detached from the body, as if only your spiritual eye is moving, point between the eyebrows, lie down on the floor. Without any fanfare, without any expectation of things needing to be just so, just lie down. Use a blanket if you need to. Arms by the side. Keep your knees bent if there's a discomfort in the low back. Palms are facing up so you can be receptive to intuitive guidance. Your eyes are closed. Over the next 3 deep breaths, with every exhalation, relax your body and let it go. Let's inhale. Exhale deeply as if you're letting your body go. It's melting away. Once again, inhale. Exhale. Like a snake shedding its skin, shed your body. Inhale deeply into your heart. As you exhale, feel all the negativity leave the heart, filled with joy and peace. Gazing at the point between the eyebrows, let's enter deep relaxation for a few minutes. find your breath and gradually deepen your breath. Wiggle your fingers and toes as you become conscious of your body. Bend your knees, lie on your right side, take your time. Press into your hands, slowly sit up please as you inhale. Hands on your knees, palms facing up. Yoga benefits the immune system with all the physiological ways I told you in the beginning. Deepening the breath, reducing inflammation, reducing chronic stress and so on. But primarily, it restores harmony, not at the physical level, that too, but mainly in the mind, and therefore allows the body to function harmoniously. So feel for a few moments that wonderful state of lightness where mind and body are aligned. And let's finish class on the waves of 3 Oms. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Amen. Hey, thank you all for attending in person, online, and perhaps later watching this. Have an absolutely wonderful day. And those of you that are here for yoga teacher training open house, please join us after a 10-minute break at 10:30. And those of you online, I think the same link will be live all through, and we'll